all right? And if you were to rewind back about a year and a half, that was when we were finding out that we were pregnant with our fourth, all right? And so Courtney and I were delighted, super excited, and we're like, well, let's go tell the kids. And then we're like, whoa, wait up here. This could be a little bit interesting. I mean, it's nothing like telling 3 other humans that, well, you're gonna get to spend less time with mom and dad, but get real excited, all right? And so anyway, so we go in there and we tell them, hey, you you guys are all gonna be big brothers. Mommy's got a baby in her belly, and they are amped. They are 8, 6, and 3 at the time, and they're all boys. All right, and so they were super excited. They're like, oh, mom, dad, this is so good. We're so excited. We're proud of you. But and I'm like, cool, yeah, this is. And I'm like, honey, this is going very well. And then they're like, yeah, well, this is so good, but here's the thing, we just don't need any more boys in our family. I was like, oh, okay. And so, and I was like, honey, I got this. I'm gonna deal with this, we got this. And so a couple days later, I'm driving with the kids. I'm like, hey, so how you feeling? Big brothers. I'm like, Dad, we love kids, we love being big brothers. We just don't need any more boys in our family. We got you, there's 3 of us, we don't need any more. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I mean, mom and dad aren't in control of this. I mean, don't you understand how this works? I was like, no, they don't understand how this works, And so then they said this, and they're like, no, Dad, but here's the deal. I mean, mom's lonely. She needs a girl, And I was like, when did you become an intellectual? But anyway, so we eventually do find out the gender. And we're big into celebrations in our household, and so we did the whole cake thing. If it's blue in the middle, it's a boy. If it's pink, it's a girl. And so we get the cake, and I mean, at this point, the kids are just psyched out of their brains. It's just amazing. And particularly my oldest, I mean, if there was ever a need for a fidget spinner, it was this moment. I mean, he was like, when can I cut the cake? I need to see the cake. I want to see what's inside the cake. I want to taste the cake. I need the cake. I need. And so we gave him a knife instead, and he gets that knife out, and he's like, well, when should I cut the cake? And I said, go ahead. So he cuts the cake, and look, I've never been a big fan of pink, but I was in that moment. We got our baby girl, all right? We got pink, yes. Sweet Evie Joy is her name, and the kids call her Sweet Ev. And I gotta be honest, when we cut the cake, my oldest, he wept with joy because he was so happy to be having a little girl. So we, and they're all actually out here today. My wife and 4 kids, yes, they're all here today, which is particularly special. And, but speaking of kids do say some unbelievably remarkable things, right? And sometimes at perfect timing and sometimes not so much, right? But I was driving with my oldest boy a little while ago, and I could see that he was kind of thinking about something. And well, parents know that kind of look in their kids, like something's not quite right, And he was telling me, I was like, man, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. And then he leaned over and he said, so Dad, you're gonna die one day, huh? And I was like, man, I'm only 35. And he was like, you're 35? And I could see, as I said, we were talking, I mean, it was a big moment for him, right? And you could see it was a little emotional, and so I was like, oh, okay, all right. I was like, hey man, so here's the deal, I mean, I don't intend to dying anytime soon, and hopefully, it's many years down the road, and you'll have your own family, you'll have your own wife, and you have your own kids, and maybe the way that it would sting today if I was to pass away, maybe it won't quite be the same years down the road. And he listened and he's like, he kind of got it. He's like, yeah, okay. And then he said this. And then he said, well, I'm going to learn everything I can from you, Dad, until that day comes, all right? And yeah, he could say amazing things. But then obviously that comment kind of puts you as a parent on your heels a little bit, like, oh, what am I teaching them? And to be honest, I dwell on that for a while. I started thinking through, I mean, what are my kids going to say in their 20s? What are they going to say that their dad taught them that, hey, my dad taught me this, so I'm not going to go down that path? What do they say in their 40s? This business deal, this is not deemed fair, and my dad taught me this, so I'm not going to do it. What do they say in their 60s to their kids? And my kids say, hey, your grandfather once told me this, and I've lived this out. And now I want to teach you this. What are the things that they will say? What are the things that they will remember? what are the things that become anchors in their life? And so what happens occasionally in what I do, I found myself writing a song a few days later. And this song has become my list.